Alright guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to do the West part of the midseason seeding predictions. And we'll talk about if these seedings are going to translate into the playoffs and, see if they're real contenders or not, in my thoughts. So first up, I have to put the Clippers, they're the hottest team in the West. They are 35-17, and currently they're 2 games behind the first seed, which I think they will be. They'll make it up. They're starting to find chemistry between them. Ever since Russ went into the bench, starting to play much better. Unless there's some big injuries, I don't think this team will fall off from where they are now. Um, they have they have the best offensive rating in the NBA in the last 30 games, which is 125, and a 118.1 defensive rating, which is 16th in the last 30. They have 5.7 net rating, which is 5th in the league, and they're tied for the best record last 30 with the Celtics, I think. Kawhi is having a great year, 24 points, 6.2 rebounds on 63.6 true shooting. Paul George is averaging 22.4 points, 5.2 rebounds on 9.5 true shooting, and he's, playing well as more of he doesn't really get the ball much. He's more of the third man. James Harden and Kawhi get the ball most. And speaking of Harden, he's averaging 17.3 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.4 assists on 63.7% true shooting. Um, and Westbrook has also been good off the bench, running the off the bench. And him and Harden have actually been pretty good together. In one of the games, they led their way into the Brooklyn comeback. Westbrook's averaging 11.3 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. And as I think James Harden he was talking about the pick and roll between James Harden and Zubats is pretty good too. Zubats is putting up 11.9 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks on 66.7 true shooting. And they have Powell, who's also pretty good, averaging 13.2 points, and others. They have good other role players like Terrence Mann, Robert Covington, Mason Plumlee's pretty good. Daniel Theis is also pretty good. Nick Batum is pretty good. They also have Bones Highland who could power your bench a little bit. And I think for the most part, this team is a contender. Even if James Harden is a bad playoff performer, you still have 2 great playoff performers in Paul George, as you can see, against Miami, when he was with the Pacers. I do think that he should play well in the playoffs, even though him and Kawhi did not play their best in 2020. And Kawhi is also notorious for playing better in the playoffs. So I do think that unless there's a major injury, I don't think this team will fall off, and I do think they're contenders. The main thing is can they can they consistently be healthy? Can they perform like this in the playoffs? Can they perform like this in the playoffs? And can they figure it out? Is their coach good enough to do this as well? And their defense is not the best, and some other teams they have better all around stats. Even though the Clippers, they are the hottest team in the West, I mean the league pretty much the last 30 games. There are some teams that are better all around, which we will talk about in a minute. So yeah. So number two, we have to take the reigning champs in the Denver Nuggets. They are actually fourth in the West, at 36-18. But I do think that now that the playoffs are getting closer, they'll start to pick up speed, play better now, and eventually, I think they should be able to, beat Timberwolves. And I do think Denver, even in a series, beats both of those teams. Yeah. So I think they're gonna pick up the pace. They're gonna start winning more games. They have a 118.2 offensive rating, which is 12th, and a 114.8 defensive rating, which is also 12th. And then 13th highest 3 points percentage and 10th highest net rating. And this is really funny because they're a top four team, but they're not top 10 in any of these categories. And I think the credit for that is Jokic. Jokic, even though in his standards he's actually having a up year, he's averaging 26.3 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 9 assists. And Murray has been in out for like a lot of the year, I think. He's averaging 20.5 points, 6.5 assists on 57.5 true shooting. And it's crazy how the West, like the top teams, the players are so efficient, in the NBA today. It's very crazy how efficient these players are. I do think it's a very, very impressive at how efficient they are. They also have some pretty good role players. Definitely worse than last year. They're uh, their like depth. Porter has been averaging 15.9 points, 10 rebounds, and 2% blocks, 58.8 true shooting percentage, and 13.6.5 rebounds for Gordon, 10.9 points for Reggie Jackson, I think, and 7 points for Christian Braun, who I think has a good potential as a pretty good role pick, 6th round, kind of like Lou Williams. Um, and this team, I think, obviously, they're always going to be contenders. They're going to be dangerous when they have an MVP caliber player. And I don't really know who should beat them in a series. The other teams around them. But if you could probably beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. With they have good playoff performers. Jamal Murray always be hitting this, always be performing well in the playoffs. You saw last year what he could do in the playoffs. And I do think that they could beat these other top teams pretty easily. Um, yeah, even if you look at it, I do think that the West is more dangerous than the East, in my current opinion, all around. At number three, I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a young team in the rise, currently second in the West, 36-17 record, but they're very close to the Nuggets, and also these like standings might change depends on when I take these notes and stuff. They have a 120.3 offensive rating, which is fifth, and a 113.2 defensive rating, which is sixth. And this is the one team that has amazing all around stats. So good. Like they are fifth in offensive rating and sixth in defensive rating. And they're also second in net rating and third highest three-point shooting percentage. This team might be the all around best team. They have so many good players all around them. And there's a team on the rise, with the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Sacramento Kings. I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder are probably the best out of it. I think the Thunder, all around, are better team than the Wolves. And I do think that if there's a young team out of the three that have a chance to beat the Nuggets, it's them. But I do prefer the more experienced teams. And I do think that most more experienced teams will take the case. They're slowly catching up, and I do think that they will manage to take the second seed. Shea has been amazing. So I think he's third or second in MVP race. I don't think he deserves that. I do think that Luka Doncic should actually be there. But he's averaging 31.1 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 6.6 assists on an insane 64%, 64.4% true shooting. Shea is having a good rookie season, 16.8 points. Um, I think 7.5 rebounds and 2.6 blocks on 63.5% true shooting. Jalen Williams been pretty good, 18.9 points. Um, and with 4.1 assists, I think, on 62.5 true shooting. And he's also having he's having an okay season. 11.5 points, 6.1 rebounds, 4.5 assists. Um, and they have good role players like Luke Dort. I like Dort because of his defensive presence. They have Isaiah Joe also, and they also have Ice Casey Wallace. And this team, I don't think they're like real championship contenders, but I do think they can make a push. and maybe be a sneaky team to come out the West. But me personally, they're not my championship like team. And they're not experienced. I'm not saying they're gonna play bad in the playoffs. I just don't think they're gonna play like those other teams that are experienced, like the Nuggets. And I'd even pick teams that are way down, like the Lakers maybe or the Warriors over them because of their straight up experience with players that play better in the playoffs, like Curry, LeBron, AD was pretty good. So like these type of players, I do think would beat them. Even Suns could probably beat the Thunder in a playoff series. I do think it's the regular season is much different from the playoffs, and I think the Thunder are not yet ready for that. Number four, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're falling down from the first seed to the fourth seed for me. Oh, they're very close to the teams below them, and they have fallen off a bit. They had some tough losses, recently over the last 15 game stretch. Obviously that 60-point loss when Cat dropped 60 points was pretty bad against a very bad Hornets team. But they've been pretty good. They've been like the best defensive team in the league, but the offense is 115.8 offensive rating, which is 17th in the league, 109.1 defensive rating, which is number one in the league. They have 6.7 net rating, which is third in the league, and they're second in the league in 3-point shooting percentage. Um, Anthony Edwards is having a career year, 25.8 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists, and 13.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, 2.1 blocks on 66.8 true shooting for Gobert. I think, yeah. I think it's Gobert. Yeah, Gobert's having a all depot year, kind of a bounce back season. I think he's a big reason for that. Ant and Gobert are starting to find out how to play together. Cat's also been pretty good, 22.7 points, 8.4 rebounds on 62.8% true shooting, and 10.6 points and 6.5 assists for Conley, who just cleared that makes the right plays. Just a good veteran to have in a team. 12.3 points and 0.7 blocks for Nas Reed, who's also a good role player, and 10.6 points for McDaniels, who's a pretty good defensive player. This is where it gets really interesting. These teams are also very close, but for me, ever since they've made the changes to get Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, I think this Dallas team doesn't have many weaknesses. So I'm going to put them at 5. They've gone 2-0 since they've gotten the new players. Ever since then, even before that, they've been on a bit of a run recently, kind of making a comeback. And I do think that with a healthy Kyrie, who's also playing really well this season, and a healthy Luka, they have a good chance to win games consistently. They have a 118.3 offensive rating and 117.3 defensive rating. Um, they have a 37.3 three-point shooting percentage, 10th in the league. And they are 2-0, as I said, with Gafford and PG Washington. Luka is having an amazing year. I don't know why he's not at like a second in MVP race. He's having 34.3 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 9.6 assists, 62% true shooting. 25.2 points and 5.1 rebounds and 5.4 assists on 59.3 shooting for Kyrie, which is really good. 9.2 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks, 72.6% true shooting for Lively, which is just a great rookie stat line. And the new players played pretty good. Uh, 18.9 points and 4.6 assists on 59.5 true shooting. No, it's not. PJ Washington's averaging 11.5 points, 5 rebounds with Mavericks, and 17.5 points, 13 rebounds for Gafford, who I really like. With the Mavericks, this team, I think will be able to, make the playoffs. I don't know if they're contenders, they can be like a sneaky team to make it out of the West, but I think they need at least one of them here, build up the chemistry. But I just don't want this team to make a big move over the year. I just want to continue to see what they can do with their roster because I think this roster definitely has potential, especially with a good young player like Derek Lively, who I think will work well with Luka. Number six, I got the Pelicans. This team has been pretty good recently. And it's let me just tell you, it's not exactly because of Zion. They're 32-22, which is fifth in the West. They are they have a 117.7 offensive rating, which is 15th, and a 113.4 defensive rating, which is seventh, which is pretty good all around stats. They have a 4.2 net rating, which is eighth in the league, and 37.8% 3-point shooting, seventh. They are 15-10 last 25 games, which is seventh in the league. Zion is averaging 22 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists on 51.7% true shooting. Ingram is averaging 21.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists on 57% true shooting, which is pretty good. Ingram has had some great games recently. I think he had like 5 threes in a row recently. And Jonas Valanciunas is averaging 13.8 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 18.9 points and 4.6 assists on 59.5 shooting for CJ, who's just a good third man. 11.1 points on 62.1 true shooting for Herb Jones, 12.8 points for Trey Murphy, and Alvarado has 1.1 steals. They also have some good role players like Jordan Hawkins, who I think is a good sniper to have in your team. It's pretty impressive. Next up, I gotta hurry through this now, but this Pelicans team, I don't think they will make it much farther this like to the playoffs. Not even gonna lie, I don't have much faith in them. They could maybe make it to to the second round, but I don't think they make it far to the second round. I'll pick a lot of teams over them. But overall, it's just a good year compared to the previous years. Hopefully, they continue to stay healthy. Next up, I have to put my Lakers, just because they're my Lakers, and recently they've been pretty good. I think they've been 5-1 in the last 6 games, and if they win today's game against the Jazz, I think they'll be 6-1, which is a pretty good record. And this also break, they just signed Spencer Dinwiddie. They're 28 and they're actually 29-26 because they won against Detroit. Um, and they have been 5-3 the last 8 games, which is pretty good. D'Lo and AR are starting to figure things out. They have a 114.6 offensive rating and a 115.2 defensive rating, which is in the league. It's just very average. They could definitely do better. 24.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 7.8 assists, and 60.8% true shooting for LeBron James, which is just great all around stats, for James with good efficiency. AD's been the best player in the Lakers by far the last 25 games, 24.7 points, 12.1 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks. Just a defensive monster on 61.6% true shooting. Um, Austin Reeves has been averaging 21 points the last 5 games, which is really good. Even D'Lo's been also very good the last 5 games. He's averaged 19.8 points and 6.8 assists. And Hachimura is averaging 10.8 points and 5.2 rebounds. The last few games, which is pretty good. 11.2 points and 2.6 steals for Jared Vanderbilt. He's been pretty good defensively. I think he was put on that Curry in the Warriors game, and he got 2 or 3 steals. He was really useful at that time. And Prince has also been okay. I don't think he's a starter guys. He's been averaging 10.4 points. And overall, this team is kind of figuring things out. They just got Spencer Dinwiddie. I think gonna be a pretty good addition. You know, Seeing what's happening to the Lakers, they need better three-point shooting overall. They need to continue playing hard. Sometimes they just don't win. They don't feel like playing. But this team definitely has potential, and if the team has LeBron, they're always like so a team to be scared of. But even if I'm a Lakers fan, if I'm being really honest, they are not championship contenders yet. Have to revisit this video at the end of the season and if the Lakers are like really good last 25 games, then they might probably contenders. But other than that, I don't really see what can put them into the contenders match. They could probably be and they're probably gonna be lower into the 6 to 8 seedings. They're gonna have to go to play in, and then they're gonna have to face a top team like the Nuggets or the Clippers, who I don't. They're gonna push the 6 games probably. But they're probably not gonna win the series. But overall, I do think that they will push themselves enough to make it to the 7th seed. At number 8, I got the Phoenix Suns, who have been starting to figure things out recently, but just because of the injury rate, I don't think they'll make it they'll make it too far there. There's, Katie, has been pretty good. D-Book's also been really good. Katie's been really good, not pretty good. They have a 118.6 offensive rating, which is ninth in the league, and a 115.5 defensive rating, which is not highest. 11th net rating, 37.9% true shooting, fifth in the league. Katie's been averaging 28.3 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5.7 assists, on 64.4% true shooting. Books, 28 points, 7.1 assists, 61.9% true shooting. Nurkic, 11.9 points, 10.2 rebounds, pretty good. Beals averaging 18% points, 15.1% true shooting. Um, Grayson Allen's also been pretty good, 12.8 points, 69.3% true shooting. And then Eric Gordon's also been pretty good with 12.2 points. And overall, these teams are some. These teams are like pretty good. And I do think that the Suns they'll be championship contenders, but I'm just afraid injury comes. With these type players, I'm not hoping for an injury, but I do think that they have some glaring weaknesses. Overall, the defensive end, perimeter. But yeah, that's about it. The Suns are my 8 pick. Now for 9 and 10, it's pretty much Kings. I really felt bad putting the Kings out of the playoffs, but the West is so stacked. It's so hard. I had to choose between these teams, and it's just a flip. The Kings can go all the way to the 5th seed to the 10th seed, and the Warriors have also been picking up speed. I don't think they'll be like consistently good enough to 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 be able to get into a top 8 seed. I do think they'll be a top 9 seed. The Jazz have been, they went in a great winning streak and they fell off. I don't know what to say about the Jazz, to be honest. I already made a video about that, so if you really want to know my opinions about them, check that video out. This video turned out to be so long, and West is much more interesting than East, in my opinion. Also, my team is in the West, so I obviously follow the West standings and the West teams a lot more than the East, so that's why it's more detailed. Yep. That's about it. What do you guys think about these standings? Lay your opinions on. Wait, I don't have comments. Oh, whatever.